Welcome back into the Huskers Radio Network podcast. I'm Jessica Coody, and boy, do I have a treat for you guys today on the show. Joining me today is two-time national champion Husker running back, Green Bay Packer, now taking over as director of Nebraska Esports right here in Lincoln, Ahman Green. How did it feel to walk over on campus and be back in the stadium here?
Man, it feels great. I mean, I was like, I said, I never, obviously, as a player, I didn't get a chance to walk in all the gates. Like, I know the West gates real easy. When you say, when it was 18, I'm like, where is that at? Let me find out. Then I see this monster being built next to us here. It looks like it's the Hall of Fame, going to be the Hall of Fame or something. I'm like, good gracious. Like, where did that come from? But because I was just here in the fall watching, it was a Gophers game I came to, and when we played the Sooners early in the season. I saw both of those games. And I don't think that started, unless it might have started by then. But I didn't come out this way. I think I went out West Stadium.
Oh, I mean, because obviously we see it every day. And every day there for a while we're like, there's something new or progress. And if you would leave for a couple of days or come back or for a week, it was amazing how quickly it's gone up.
It is. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, man, this is sweet. I'm like, I like this.
It's going to be awesome. And that's one thing that this new coaching staff is really selling when they get kids on here is, hey, this is going to be the best of the best.
Yeah, because it's another indoor facility, correct?
It's going to be attached. But, I mean, just everything, all the bells and whistles that could ever be needed for a football player. I mean, it's got to be something that you kind of like as a recruit, right?
Oh, 100%. You mean esports player too, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, let's start there. I mean, what brought you back to Lincoln? I mean, a new role and a new opportunity here, right?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm a lecturer. Come spring break, after spring break, my class starts. It's going to be a short 8-week course, and it's going to be Intro to Esports. So I'll be breaking down basically the team side of it, team development, player development, coach development, how players need to develop in terms of communication between each other, because a lot of the games that we play going to compete in, and that the club teams are already competing in, they're multiplayer games. There are three players on the team, 5, 6, 4 players on the team. And so you got to have that clear communication, just like here in the studio when you have a big show, then this one, when it's multiple people coming in and out, you got to make sure, it's in terms of timing and what the topics are and what camera, even though it's like I just found out they're AI, so they work on their own. But you got to have that clear communication. So teaching that I'm going to be teaching in that class. And then teaching what I call digital citizenship, which is sportsmanship. Know how to, treat a teammate the proper way, how to talk to them, how to talk and, approach an opponent, somebody that you just beat or you just lost to. Because in the gaming world, I'm going to say normal, but in some instances, there's gamers that going to beat somebody and they rub it in and trash talk them, and that's not good.
You're not a fan of that.
No, I'm not a fan of that. I was raised in a household. My two brothers play football. My stepdad played football, and it was no trash talking, because if you trash talk, you're eventually going to get blew up too. You're going to get hit real hard if you're going to try to show somebody up.
Act like you've been there before,
exactly.
Right?
Act like you've been there before. So I'm preaching the same thing in my classroom. I preach the same thing with my players where I was at Lakeland University prior. So that was one of my big rules before I found out how good you were at Rocket League or how good you were at Valorant. I want to know what type of person you are. Are you that player that's going to, you get beat and you're going to shake the player's hand saying, good game, you got me, and then walk away. Not good game, you suck, and blah, blah, blah. None of that. It's like, all right, or we won and say, hey, man, good game. Y'all played this tough and catch you next time. Just something like that, because you got to have that respect. And gaming obviously has some things about it that people look at it kind of frowned upon. The trash talking, the obviously typical. I remember back, when I was younger, that it was the typical kid in the basement. He or she is eating, bad food, and they got a Mountain Dew or Coca-Cola, they got soda around them, and it's, they mad at their mom for whatever, they're spouting up and being disrespectful. And it's like, really, it's not that picture, no more. There's gamers that are obviously in school on campus right now that are very highly competitive. They practice together. Like the team, what I love about the program, what I found out, Jade, I don't have her last name, but her first name, Jade, is the president, and she and her, friends and local classmates, the game managers, game advisors, they've been running this program efficiently for 3 years. And so my job, how I look at it, just kind of come and help it out and like upgrade it a little bit. But I don't want to change nothing about it other than, get more funding, get more attention, more eyes on what the student body has already done. They built out about 6 or 7 teams, and six or 7 teams, and per team for each game, it's like 3 teams per game. So you got a lot of kids that are dedicated. They're playing from their dorm rooms. They're playing from their apartments. So my job is to say, hey, no, you could come to, the union, or we could come to our own a place to now practice and play. You don't have to play from Able or Harper. You could just come right to wherever we're going to be. And I say we're going to start over in the student union. Come Friday, we're going to do a walkthrough. Myself and Sherry Vell, who's the dean of students at the College of Journalism, we're taking our first walkthrough of the area to kind of talk and talk things out, where things are going to go. Early planning of taking over that area. Right, it's right next to where you get your in card. It's in that little nook of an area right across the walkway from Chick-fil-A and Steak and Shake, which I'll go there maybe once or twice a week. I'll try to avoid that. But yeah, that's how it starts. We got to give the kids a little bit more motivation. Be like, oh man, now we have a space. And then the next step from that is having our own dedicated, bigger area, having a film viewing room where we could break down film, maybe, get a locker room, have a little cafeteria area for our, that is dedicated. Because once the players, and this goes for all sports, once an athlete or a student athlete knows we have our own area on campus, they feel, that's their second home. They know that, okay, when we wake up after classes are done, then I could go over to the esports facility and dig into practice and, whatever. If I'm having a bad day, I could go there, feel a little better, because this is our dedicated space.
So, obviously, I know you've talked a lot about how much you love Lincoln and your time here. So how much was that part of it too, is getting back to this community and being able to have an opportunity here in Lincoln?
Yeah, I say 100% the part of it, because I've been knocking on the door to be a part of the football program for a long time, and the timing didn't work out, and that was fine with me. Well, the way I'm built is a door shut, just like you heard before, one door shut and another door is open. I just kept grinding in other passions, and the passion was just playing video games, going to all the Comic-Cons or the E3s, the PAX East and West, and the Dream Hacks, and then making contacts. And so building out my portfolio of things where I started to shoutcast gaming events, tournaments for Gears of War, for Halo, for Super Smash Brothers, Rocket League, and making those contacts, those companies like Epic Games and EA Sports, Microsoft, and letting them know, on top of what they see, because when they see me, they know, oh, you're the guy who used to play for the Packers, running back, played at Nebraska, but you're into gaming too? Like, really? I'm like, yeah. I mean, this is something I love to do. I mean, it's my thing. Like, a lot of my teammates, I say this all the time, a lot of my teammates now and then, they go golfing or they go hunting. I say, yeah, I go hunt with a joystick and a monitor in Halo or Call of Duty. So I play games. So that was my hobby to do, and I turned that hobby and another passion of mine into something more, more tangible, and something I could grab and touch and help students grow in this. In this program at the school, and to make us part of. The whole goal is to make us part of the athletic department, so we can bring that same excitement, to another area of competition, which is esports.
Who was the most formidable teammate, opponent that you've ever faced? Packer, Husker?
Oh, well, Husker is easy. There's a couple, too. Shout out to Tony Ortiz and Jay Sims. Tony was a linebacker. We were the same class of 95. And I say part of the reason he was a gamer was his dad owned an arcade. So Tony was from New York, but went to Connecticut, and then went to high school there at Waterbury, Connecticut High School. And his dad owned an arcade, like an old school arcade with the old Pac-Man and Galaga, Miss Pac-Man. And so he would go, obviously, with his dad to work. So it's like, I said, dude, really? And so then obviously that morphed into him being really good at Tecmo Bowl and all the games we were playing, John Madden football at that time on campus, where we were just playing for pride, but he would beat you up. And then another guy was Jay Sims. He would play And I never I like when he would ask me to play, I'd be like, no, I don't want to play you because I want to go to bed without knowing that you just put 100 points on me on the NCAA football right now. And he's like, no, just play. I'm like, all right, I'll play. But I already know I'm going to lose because he just knew everything about the game. But on my own time, I would play, those games, Street Fighter or Legend of Zelda, older games like that, just to kind of, get away from school and have fun like that. But those two guys for sure on campus here were the top dogs. And I say the good thing is I beat them both since that time. So I finally, but it took 30, 40, almost 40 years after the fact.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then NFL-wise, no, it wasn't too many NFL teammates, except for the teammates. Actually, when I was in Houston for a few years, and it was a group of teammates because it was Matt Schaub, he was our quarterback, Ephraim Salam, David Walters, last name was Walters, he's a wide receiver, but they were all really good at Halo, and I wasn't at the time until I got put on IR that year. Then I got really good because I had a lot of time on my hands. So before I got put on IR, I was TP, that was my nickname for target practice because I was the one getting easy points for their team to win, but I took it to heart and learned, and like I said, I was on rehab, so I was on IR, so I had a lot of time to get better at the game, and I did before I clocked out of being a Texan. I was like, yeah, I'll hold the hat down there a little bit, and I'll love to see those guys, if they hear this, rematch me, let's go. We can have some fun.
Oh, that's awesome. How fun. People might ask, how do you coach esports? That's what you're going to be doing with the Nebraska Esports
Correct.
program. How do you coach that?
It's just like you would coach any other coaches that coach here in any other athletic programs: football, baseball, basketball, volleyball, tennis, golf. You got your warm up part of practice, or you have your film review, you have your game planning, and it's the same idea. So taking a game like Valorant, for example, or even League of Legends, being like I said, multiplayer game, it's 5 players on each team, so that means you have. For Nebraska here, we have 2 teams of league teams, league players. So that means we have 20 or almost 15 players to make up 2 teams or 3 teams. And so now those players will, we'll sit down and we'll talk about game planning. We'll break down some film of our previous game. And I'm pretty sure the students already do that because they're doing really good. They're winning games in league. They're winning games in Valorant. They're winning games in Rocket League. So you do just that. You break that film because that's how you get better. You look at your strengths. You look at your mistakes. Break it down. Take notes. And you got to be open to that constructive criticism to get better. And I would say these players here, I believe they have that because they've been functioning on their own, even though it's not. A lot of people know about it, but that's part of my job to let people, that's why we're talking right now, to let people know about the program. And that's basically what our day, eventually, once we get to that point where this is the varsity team, because we're going to still have the club part of it, because the club part of it is going to help develop players that want to get to the varsity level. That was like when I got here my freshman year, there was still a freshman locker room and the varsity locker room. Freshman locker room was in North Stadium, varsity locker room was in South Stadium. You had to prove yourself by learning the plays, playing hard, not making a whole lot of mistakes, and then the coaches would tell you, oh yeah, you made it to the varsity locker room. And so that's kind of the same mindset here. And I think a lot of teams do that across the country, not just here, but even the pro organizations of esports teams around the world, that's what they do. They have a club team attached to the pro side, because then you can always develop players and have a pool of players that you could pull from if you find a player that's that diamond in the rough that can then be on your roster.
So how awesome is it for you that you get to combine 2 passions with Nebraska and esports?
It's awesome. I mean, I've been smiling all week ever since I got here. I guess got here a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just smiling like, man, I get to, do something that, for one, I'm probably the only former pro athlete doing, but I'm not the only person doing this. I met coaches at Midland. I met coaches at Bellevue University right up in Omaha, Nebraska Westland. I met those coaches at other tournaments, at other events, so I could communicate with them. I've been communicating with them already. So now that they know I'm here, we could then might do more in-person events. We were just talking before this podcast started how we could play against each other, Kearney and UNO, and so we could plan those out, and we go to Kearney or they come here or what, and vice versa, to have that kind of in-state rivalry, but in-state, I say, competition to help us get better, at the games we play.
So, and we were talking too that maybe we can make this a series. Hopefully, that's the goal, where we can talk Nebraska Esports and Husker Football moving forward. And because I would imagine too, I didn't know much about it, and you were kind of educating me on how it all works. How about fans would love to know more about it too? So I think something maybe we could get in the works. But I did have to ask you about what's been your perspective of the excitement around just this football program, and since Matt Rule and his staff have taken over.
Man, it's a lot of excitement. I mean, new coaching staff coming in always brings excitement, but like from a player point of view, and I could speak on even the players here, even though it's an age difference, but there's one thing about, I know it's a few players is like, man, we're starting from scratch, if they're seniors or juniors. But then also it's like, okay, now me as a player, I put myself in their shoes. I'm like, also, okay, yeah, we starting from scratch. That's going to be an uphill battle, because now we got to learn. I'm an offensive player, so I got to learn a whole new playbook, a whole new verbiage. I basically got to go from speaking Spanish to Russian, maybe. Defensive player, same obstacles, but we want to get better, right? That's what I always ask myself. I want to get better, right? And the answer is yes. Basically, hell yes. I want to get better, and I want to start winning. And we're in a conference in the Big Ten, as we know. It's a conference that there's a lot of, posturing and debating on who's the best. And I have teammates in the NFL that I played with that were Big Ten players, and I told them all the time. I said, look, if we would have walked in the Big Ten in 1995, it'd probably not be a Big Ten right now, or y'all would not be happy with us. Just letting you know. But the players here today, they have a chance to bring it back to that standing, to change things around here and do it themselves. So then people that play in the Big Ten, other teams and coaches and media, they're not going to, downplay Nebraska going to Michigan, downplay Nebraska going to Ohio State, kind of giving Ohio State, giving the Wolverines the victory already, because we're still trying to develop our program. And so I believe Matt Rule and his team, seeing what they've done, or seeing what he's done, because I know some of the coaches have been with him, not all his stops, and some have. Some been with him at Baylor, some been with him at Temple and Carolina. And so, but on level, he knows them enough to say, hey, come here, help me build out his program. And I say that's something that's good to know, because what he did with Baylor, for me, that says a lot. Because as a coach, you got to know how to get players to play, not only for themselves and for the player next to them, but actually for you as a coach. Because this is the college level, and the kids are still growing as people, as young adults. So they got a lot going on other than football. They're just moving away from home for maybe the first time, or they're dealing with classes, they're dealing with maybe getting a job or what have you. So you got a lot going on for a young adult. So you got to find that focus as a coach. You're like, all right, let me get your attention for a second. Trust me, I give you everything I got. You give me everything you got. We can make this thing work. And so that's what I remember back in the day with Coach Osborne. He gave us those opportunities. He basically said, if you work hard for it, you'll get what you deserve. And that's kind of how my career went. I worked hard, pushed hard, learning the playbook, and playing hard as a player, not worrying about if I'm the starter or not, just worrying about when I get my opportunity, when would that be, that I better make sure I play hard to show the coaches and my teammates that I could do this.
Okay, so again, we're going to reschedule you. We're going to have you come back. But if people right now that are listening in want more information on Nebraska Esports, where do they get that? Through Nebraska Esports is on Instagram and Twitter at Nebraska Esports. I say for myself, I'm on Instagram, Ahman Green 30. Kept 30s. That was my college number, and that was my pro number. So I'm on Instagram, and TikTok is Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge, which is one of the 3 podcasts I do, maybe 4. Yes, 4.
4 soon, because we're going to do a Husker podcast right in this area. So Ahman Green Gamer Lounge, I started 4 years ago, right the year before COVID, and been doing it for that time. And my co-host John Audius, he was a radio personality for iHeart. He left. Or once COVID hit, he was one of the guys, unfortunately, they let go, but he jumped. I said, hey, man, look, you got a spot here. And he said he got into it. He wasn't a gamer. I kind of transformed him into that. Now he plays Rocket League and he talks video games once a week, you know. So we've been doing that for 4 years. So we're on, like I said, we're on TikTok and we're on Twitch and YouTube as well. And then my own Twitch channel is, of course, you know, like for marketing, learning in marketing, keep it continuity there. So it's just Ahman Green TV. You can find me on there.
Awesome. Well, it was great to have you in studio. Now you know where it is.
Yes.
We'll have you back
This
again.
is sweet.
And great to see you walking around the stadium, too. So
Yeah.
I know Husker fans will be excited to see your face around here a lot more. Appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to sitting down with you again here soon.
Oh, for sure. Start with esports, end with football. Start with football, end with esports. Whatever we do.
I love it.
It's
I
gonna
love
be
it.
fun.
All right, for Ahman Green, I'm Jessica Coody. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Huskers Radio Network podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like wherever you listen to never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.